Hello, this is Jordi, and today is the 30th of January 2020, and it's official. It's really official. This is the document that protects ethical vegans from discrimination, harassment, and victimization in the UK. This is the judgment, the written judgment of Judge Jordi Postle. He produced a summary judgment the 3rd of January, the day of the hearing that everybody has heard and seen on the news, and we were waiting for the written judgment with the details, and this is it, 12 pages of it. So I'm just going to give you a kind of quick summary, but it's real, it's happening, it's the real thing. I was worried that he might just only protect my particular way of being vegan or be very restricted, but no, it's very good. It's basically clearly everybody that is an ethical vegan, a proper ethical vegan, will be protected with this. And if you don't believe me, here you go and see his signature in the end. Here's a real document, and it's a public document now, you can find it yourself. I'm just going to read a little bit of some of the points here. It might be a bit windy, I apologize, but see what we can do. So first, it just explains, you see, reasons. It explains why we're doing this. So we're doing this because despite the other side considered that veganism is a protected belief, the employment tribunal said that's not enough. We need to go through the procedure. We need to check all the characteristics that determine whether belief is protected or not, and we need to check if Jordi is really an ethical vegan. So we had to go through that, and that's what he explains in the reasons. And then he goes, let me see. It goes and explains what he's done. He says, on the 2nd of January, I have had the benefit of reading some 1,239 pages contained in a bundle of documents which provides some details as to how philosophical veganism is defined, the history of it, and how that has a major impact on the claimant's daily life. I'm the claimants. So that's the day before the day he produced the verdict. He also said had the benefit of reading a lengthy witness statement from the claimant and other statements, such as statements from Dr. Jeanette Rowley from the Vegan Society. The Vegan Society actually helped me a lot in this, not just providing Jeanette's testimony, but in many other ways. And also the Professor Jeff McCowan. So basically, it says what he did before. There is a list of what is called authorities. The authorities are all the precedents and other cases that he used to base his opinion about this, and then goes into the facts. The facts basically is about who I am, what I do, and a description of what veganism is. And in paragraph 11, which interestingly puts some background on it, it says, philosophically, the concept of veganism is rooted in the ancient concept of ahimsa, which is one of the main premises of the ancient Indian religion of Jainism. Ahimsa means not to injure, compassion being the key feature of many Indian religions. So it gives some historical background. And in paragraph 12 it says very clearly, ethical veganism is not just about choices of diet, but about choices related to what a person wears, the person cares, what personal care products he or she uses, the hobbies, and the jobs he or she does. They are in fact people who have chosen to live as far as possible without the use of animal products. True. So that's what an ethical vegan is. And then it goes and shows the definition of the vegan society, which is important because it basically means that anybody that follows to the full the definition of the vegan society is already protected, because that's what he says. After the definition says, ethical vegans could be said to be moralistically oriented and opposed to all forms of exploitation of all animals, and to embody genuine philosophical concern for all sentient life. It is clear veganism is living according to a belief or conviction that it is wrong to exploit and kill living beings unnecessary, and that moral conviction is cogent, serious, and important. Such a good statement, isn't it? So this is it. So it's not diet, it's not a fashion, it's not a viewpoint. And then that's important. The philosophy defined by the Vegan Society is clearly one that the claimant adheres to, and thus constitute the basis of his philosophical belief, acting as a moral framework. That's important because it's saying Jordi is not an extreme. Jordi is not interpreting veganism in a way that is abnormal or is rare. Jordi interprets veganism as is defined for the Vegan Society. And if Jordi's philosophy is protected, anybody following that definition are also. And this is the key thing, the most important thing for all this. Everybody following the definition of the vegan society, therefore an ethical vegan or an original vegan or true vegan, whatever you want to call it, will be covered because the judge recognizes that that's my definition, despite of how much far I go in to express it and manifest it. This is the belief. The belief is based on that definition. And then describes what I do, and in several pages in details of how I manifest this veganism in many different ways. And then there's a chapter about the law, makes a reasoning and which law apply, and among the examples, this is the case of Joe Hashman, which is a precursor of my case, where he was fired because he was vegan, but he didn't claim veganism as his belief. He claimed the sanctity of life or anti-hunting, and that was protected. That was a precursor. That case is mentioned there as well. And eventually, this legal section say in this part here, the 32, saying there is a series of characteristics that the Employment Appeals Tribunal had decided that these are the ones we have to check to see whether a belief qualifies or not. And then he goes one after one to see whether it does qualify. But first, he has to check also if I am really an ethical vegan. And in paragraph 33, it says, in this case, the respondents concede that the belief was generally held. Having read vast amounts of evidence as to how the claimant conducts his life and the basis of his philosophy, I have no doubt whatsoever the claimant genuinely and sincerely holds his belief in ethical veganism. No doubt. I am really an ethical vegan. And then goes for all these other points that have to be fulfilled. Starting with a belief is not a viewpoint. It says, it is clear to me that ethical veganism carries with it an important moral essential. That's good. That is, so even if the claimant may transgress on occasions, I mean, you don't have to all the time avoid animal products, because sometimes you can't avoid them. You just need to try to do it. Even if you transgress sometimes, if the belief is there, if you try to avoid it, you're protected. That's a good point as well. That means you don't have to follow exactly what I do. You just have to do as much as you can in your circumstances. And then hold on, it says, it is clear, it is founded upon a long-standing tradition recognizing the moral consequences of non-human animal sentience, which has been upheld by both religious and atheists alike. It's not about religion. Very good point. It's not about metaphysics or believing about the protection of animals because there is a book that says so, because there's a leader that says so, because there's a church that says so. Both atheists and religious people alive can be vegan, can have that philosophy. Furthermore, there is no doubt that the claimant personally holds ethical veganism as a belief. He has clearly dedicated himself to that belief throughout what he eats, where he works, what he wears, the products he uses, where he shops, and with whom he associates. That means if somebody claims as well that they are ethical vegan, they will have to be able to prove this with the evidence they might have to produce. Otherwise, the judge might believe that you're not necessarily an ethical vegan. You might perhaps be sympathetic to the belief and not really adhere to it. And then it says, it clearly is not simply a viewpoint, but a real and genuine belief, and not just some irrational opinion. This is also strong. It's not a viewpoint. A lot of people tell us this, oh, just your opinion. It's not an opinion. It's not even an irrational opinion, very clearly. It is a real and genuine belief, no inferior than any other real and genuine belief that is out there. Then the next point, here, let's show you the page. A weighty and substantial aspect of human life and behavior, paragraph 35. It says, the belief is at its heart between the interaction of human and non-human animal life. The relationship between humans and other fellow creatures is plainly and substantial aspect of human life. It has sweeping consequences on human behavior and clearly is capable of constituting a belief which seeks to avoid the exploitation of fellow species. It is therefore a weighted and substantial aspect of human life and behavior. Done. Tick. Next one. Attain a certain level of cogency, cohesion, and importance. It says, ethical veganism is without doubt a belief which obtains a high level of cogency, cohesion, and importance. And then she goes and talks about the definition. High level, you only need to be certain level, and it says it's high level, couldn't be higher than that. And it says that clearly does exist a community with businesses and restaurants which adheres to this ethical principle. So it's not just my belief, it's all out there that follow that belief, that follow the definition. It exists. Next point. Worthy of respect in a democratic society and compatible with human dignity. It says, paragraph 38. Given modern day thinking, it is clear ethical veganism does not in any way offend society. It is increasingly recognized nationally, particularly by the environmental benefits of vegan observance. Some says, is that a good thing? It helps the environment. There is nothing bad about it. It's not affecting society negatively, and actually everybody kind of looked at it, and at least from the point of view of the environmental part of it, is recognized this is a good thing. And then is the final part of paragraph 39, with his final conclusion. I am therefore satisfied and find it easy to conclude that there is overwhelming evidence before me that ethical veganism is capable of being a philosophical belief and thus a protected characteristic under the Equality Act 2010. That's the final. But I think I missed one. I missed the one that doesn't affect the rights of others. I think because it's not in the order it should be. So let me see if I find it, because that's also a good one. Let's see if I find it. Yes, here, paragraph 19. It is clear there is no conflict between veganism and humanity and human dignity, as humans are also sentient beings which need to be equally respected and protected. Exactly. Ethical veganism is not in conflict with the rights of others. It does not require non-vegans to behave in a particular way. It's true. So we like people to become vegans, but we don't dictate what non-vegans do. We just suggest they should stop doing things and become vegans, but if they don't want to do it, we don't force anyone. So that is a point that is also important, is one of the conditions. But let me read the final one, which is so good. I am therefore satisfied and find it easy to conclude that there is overwhelming evidence before me that ethical veganism is capable of being a philosophical belief and thus a protected characteristic under the Equality Act 2010. So it's official, it's done. This is be applicable obviously only to Great Britain, but the concept is the same. In veganism, the concept is the same. So these principles are the same, and if different laws of equality in different countries might have different conditions, the actual phenomenon of ethical veganism is exactly the same. It doesn't change with culture, it's exactly the same. So you see, it can happen, it's a real thing, it's a real piece of paper, and we did it.